everyone, my name is Elena and welcome back to Bedition Candle Co channel. In today's video, I will show you how I'm trimming my wicks and labeling amber jar candles. I was so excited to see the final product of my amber jar candles because it was my first big batch. So please enjoy that footage while I'm speaking about candle business related topics. Okay, so let me start from the beginning. It was 2 years ago when I was thinking about that making candles, it's so easy and it won't take me too much time to make a perfect candle that just works. I remember burning the first test and I understood that it's not that easy and it's actually a science that I hated so much in the school. So from all of my tests, I realized a couple of things that impact your testing time. And the first thing, it's actually testing process. Burning your candles from the start to the bottom, it takes a lot of time. It takes too much time when you have a big jar candle, and it takes 50 hours to burn your candle from the start to the bottom. Think about how much time and hours you have to spend on your testing. But the 50 hours testing, it's not actually the problem. The problem that you can test only for 4 hours. You have to make sure that before each burn, your candle is cooled down and it's completely solidified. I tested each day for 8 hours. I had to start my testing from the early morning, for example from 7 to 11 a.m. and then I had to wait until my candle cools down, and it took maybe 8 to 10 hours. And the second thing that I think really impact on your testing time is the curing time. Yes, I think everybody just hates it. And I hated it so much. You have to wait until your wax blends well with your fragrance oil. It just have to sit for 1 week until 2 or even 3 weeks. It all depends on your wax type. So I started working with 100% soy wax, and think about that you made your candles and you're really excited to test them and to know if it works or not, and you have to wait 1 week. You're not allowed to touch your candles and to test them. That's the hardest thing in the candle making process, especially when you're only starting and you're so excited to test what you did. You have to wait and be patient. And here the patience is the key. I know that from the beginning somebody will want to test if the curing time is actually working. So I remember myself cheating and cutting the curing time to 3 days or 2 days, and I thought that it will be the same, like the candle will be the same and it works just fine. But after curing your candles for 1 week or 2 weeks, you will see that it will impact on your burning quality and also the hot throw and the cold throw of your candle. I want to give you one example of bad performing candle that you will never know about it. So you're making one candle and you're tested after 3 or 5 days of curing time, and then you think that the wick that you used and the percentage of fragrance oil, you just passed the test and everything just works so good. So let's think about that before you're actually selling your first candle. When you're opening your candle business, it will take maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks or even a month after actually somebody will order your candle and you will ship it out. The curing time was 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a month. And then what happens? Your customer receiving your candle and it's just tunneling. So there is no even melt pool of your candle, even after maybe 4 or 5 hours. But when you have tested your candle, it just worked perfect. It reached the edges of the container after 4 hours and there was no tunneling. But your customer says that he lit the candle for 4 hours and it's really tunneling so much. Next time you want to cheat on your curing time, think about the consequences that you will have. Another interesting topic that I want to bring out is about the fragrance oil. Many candle making beginners think that if you're using more percentage of fragrance oil, your candle will smell stronger. For example, if you're using fragrance oil and it's actually maybe 100% vanilla. From my experience and all my testing, I know that this scent just need a bigger wicks because that fragrance oil type is really kind of heavy. So if you're, for example, comparing it to a lemon scent fragrance oil, the lemon scent will need a smaller wick. I did a lot of testing from 5% of fragrance oil until 12, I guess, and I can see the difference between different fragrance oils. So you can take, for example, your vanilla fragrance oil and just use a 10% in one candle with a specific wick type. And after your testing, you understand that you don't smell your candle. Like, you can have maybe a cold throw, but hot throw there is like nothing. You just can't smell your candle. And you may think, but how? I used a 10%, which is so high percentage of fragrance oil that you can use. So maybe you can use a bigger wick or a smaller wick, and it just will work for you better. In another candle, you're using 6% of fragrance oil and it smells so good, or even too much, that you want to lower the percentage so your customer will not have a headache. Another problem that you can have when you're using a high percentage of fragrance oil is that the fragrance oil can clog your wick and it won't stay lit. My suggestions is to start with 5 or 6% and then you can use more and more. Another really important tip for you is that every candle that a different scent will have a different formula. So for instance, I have 10 different scents for my candles, and each candle has its own percentage of fragrance oil and wicks. The same wick will not work for your different fragrances, as well as the percentage of fragrance oil. I have candles that I need to increase my fragrance oil and to decrease my fragrance oil, and also use a bigger wicks and smaller wicks. If you're documenting everything that you make and all your successful formulas for your products, candles, or maybe wax melts, then you will be able to recreate your formula and just repeat and repeat your products. For the conclusion, I want to tell that you just need to test your own fragrance oil, your wicks, and your wax. So don't ask another candle makers what they're using and what are the formula, buying the same supplies, and think that you just don't need to test, because if I'm using the same supplies, I will have the same candles. It's not how it works. That's all for today's video. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope that you found some interesting information for your candle business. In the description down below, you will find all the links for the supplies that I'm using for my candle business, as well as my social media. If you have some interesting stories or maybe tips for another candle business, you can leave a comments down below. It will be so interesting for me to read. Thank you again for joining me today, and I will see you in my next video.